sadness, regret, and anger. Those are the emotions we associate with failure. Nobody wants to fail. Well, I'm not here today to talk about how to avoid failing. Instead, I want to tell you how to face it. Let me introduce you to the term self-efficacy. The term was first introduced by Albert Bandura, one of the most influential social psychologists of the 20th century. And in short, self-efficacy is defined as the amount of belief one puts in their abilities to learn a certain task or accomplish a certain ability. People with high self-efficacy tend to set more challenging goals for themselves, be more persistent when faced with failure, and experience emotions such as hope and confidence more frequently than others. The belief that you can do it, no matter the odds, no matter the difficulty, no matter the adversity. Now, without this skill, and I use the word skill intentionally, without this skill, we as individuals are lost. Some of you now are like, I'm not gonna have it, I'm so shy in front of other people, and then you start dragging yourself down. But I use the word skill because it is something that can be learned. Today, I would like to talk about how to achieve that. Don't get me wrong, it's not overconfidence. If someone says, the plane's going down, who can pilot it? You shouldn't be like, I can, I'm confident. No, self-efficacy is trained through repetition. When I was 10, my parents coerced me to learn something I never really thought I would learn, piano. It had never occurred to me to make music at that age instead of listen to it, and I was quite excited at first. However, one thing became really clear. I was an extremely slow learner. It took me like 10 lessons to learn how to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. How did I overcome this? Repetition. My goal at the time was half an hour during school days, an hour during weekends to practice my piano skills. This was my progress. This was a piece of work I could compose around 5 months after I learned piano. Magic? No. Repetition. The thing is, we all want to succeed. We all want to have faith in ourselves, to believe that we can do it. But the thing is, we can't be unless the skill, or in other cases, the task we're doing has been done 1,000 times before. We want to be in the situation where we see this task and be like, oh, this is a piece of cake. I've done this 1,000 times. Why not do it once more? Studies from the National Institute of Health in America show that neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to recognize new connections, is deeply influenced by repetition. The more we repeat a certain action or information, the stronger the neural pathways associated with neuroplasticity become. For example, I was practicing for the talent show a few months ago, and I practiced the show in front of the mirror by myself, and I'm really confident about it. I feel like I could do it. But then I go in front of my friends and practice with my partner, and I feel that sense of nervousness creeping up on me. And I go to the tech rehearsal with all the teachers watching, and then I'm even more nervous. But by the time I get to the real stage in front of 200 people, I don't have an ounce of that nervousness left because I practiced over and over again. See, the problem with repetition is that too many of us fail after the first drop of failure. Too many of us give up after the first of sacrifice. The key? Persistence. Everyone knows Edison built the light bulb, but what most of us don't know is that, depending on who you might ask, it took him anyone between 1 and 10,000 tries to succeed. You know what he said afterwards? I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work. Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC, got rejected by hundreds of restaurants when he was trying to sell his fried chicken recipe. In the end, he pushed through and started one of the most successful fast food enterprises on earth. Magic? No. Persistence. It's about understanding that failures and setbacks are not permanent roadblocks to our journey, but rather times that we can learn and improve. It's what self-efficacy is about. In the same way that I struggle with piano, facing challenges in any other area of life doesn't mean that you're not capable. It means that you're growing. When we push through these necessary moments to pick ourselves up when we fall down, we build the mental fortitude necessary to continue and to succeed in the long run. Remember, a mistake is never a failure. Giving up is. That's a way to build self-efficacy. Find what you want to do it, and never tell yourself giving up is an option. Another way is self-talk. Sometimes we have this little voice in our heads that plays the same messages. When I started doing piano, I was doubtful. I was doubtful of my talent, my abilities, and whether I could keep up or not. the messages that played in my head was, I can't do this, I can't do this. I really couldn't do it. But as I carried on, I realized that I was wrong. I was right about me doing terribly, but I was wrong to be doubtful of my future journeys. Thoughts influence actions. So why are we telling ourselves that we can't do it? Right? Sometimes we have this negative self-talk that plays in our heads. We need our own self-affirmations. We need to tell ourselves that I am braver than I believe, stronger than I seem, and smarter than I think. We are the captain of our own ship and the master of my own fate. That is what everyone should be telling ourselves. Because if you don't see it, if you don't believe it, no one else will. Guess what? There's already enough people out there saying that you can't do it. We cannot afford to keep telling ourselves that. If you start listening to those, you will trick your mind into purposely giving up on what you do to meet those fake expectations. It will tear you down 100%. A 10-year-long study conducted by compassion researcher Christine Neff showed that people who set boundaries with hurtful people were 2.3 times more likely to persist in challenging tasks, and that individuals who surrounded themselves with supportive social networks reported a 23% increase in self-efficacy and goal attainment. This leads us to the third way to build self-efficacy. Surround yourself with the people who genuinely want you to move forward. There was a time when I was really in the pit. I had a piano exam that was the recognition I desperately needed, and if I failed the exam, I wouldn't be able to do it again. And because of this, I would break up almost every time during practice during the week or so prior. And in the end, I really only got through with the help of my parents and my friends. Every time I quit, my parents were the first people to come to my room and sit with me and always say, keep going, you're doing good, try again next time. Last but not least, self-efficacy people can choose how they perceive feedback given to them. When we have the ability to filter out the negative, the useless parts of what other people feed us and pick up on the useful concepts, we can improve based on it no matter how the information is given. I'm also a table tennis player, and I used to have this coach whose way of giving feedback was limited to screaming in your ear right when you were right beside him. And this made me very scared to go to training. However, after being forced to go countless times, I realized that while he was not the most encouraging coach, he was certainly one of those people who wanted me to succeed. So as long as we selectively choose to listen to what's given, we can forget about all the negative and only intake the beneficial. Now lastly, no one will believe in you unless you believe in yourself. That is why self-efficacy is so important. So next time when you're up for a big task, don't doubt yourself. Believe. Thank you.